I am your host, Todd Rosales, and welcome to a morning edition of Elevate Your Grind. I am so happy to see everybody. We have news for you. There's so much to go through. I'm very excited about today's topic because it's something that I've been curious about for a while. And I think today that we have the right guest to actually talk about this topic. So I think today is going to be a very good show. Stay tuned, folks. Of course, this episode is brought to you by Contempo Specialty Packaging. You guys know how I feel about the packaging in the industry. I haven't seen one piece of okay, Low Smokes, you got some good packaging, but outside of you guys with that one joint pack, there is not really any good packaging in this industry. There's usually multiple layers of plastic between me and my product. It is not only child proof, but it is adult proof. And I want to be able to get to my stuff. I know we got to keep it protected, but I want to be able to get there. We need to do better with packaging in this industry. That is where Contempo Specialty Packaging comes in with their packaging made of 100% hemp. Our guest today knows a little thing about that. 100% hemp. That's right, folks. We are finally wrapping cannabis within cannabis. This is the way the industry should be going. Contempo comes from 40 years of packaging background, servicing the top brands in the world of fashion, and has over 4 years of experience in the cannabis industry. They work with a lot of the largest cannabis operators in the industry, and their 100% hemp packaging is just one of their many, many exciting offerings. Their packaging is awesome. This is stuff that I want all of you to start adopting because I'm selfish like that. And I want to see the packaging everywhere. Okay. If you're looking for beautiful child resistant packaging made from 100% hemp or any of their great options for all of your cannabis products, visit contempopackaging.com. And I can tell you firsthand that Contempo's packaging are exceptional, and we are proud to have them as our sponsor. Go to contempopackaging.com. That is contempopackaging.com, and tell them that Todd sent you. All right, folks. I'm very excited about today's episode real quick, but before we get into the episode, I have a personal announcement I want to make. As of today, I am no longer going to be with Spring Big. I have another step in my journey on my cannabis career. So I would very much like to take this moment to thank the folks at Spring Big for a great time together. It is an amazing company. I made some amazing friends there, mentors, and everything else. So thank you guys. I'll reach out to all of you individually, but I'm very excited on our next episode to share exactly what I'm doing with you. So let's get into that today because I am a free agent for 48 hours over the weekend. So I really can say whatever I want before I have another job and I have to be held accountable for the things that I say. And let's do that. So without further ado, and crap, I should ask him how to say his last name. 50-50 shot, I butcher it. But please welcome the CEO of Greenpoint Research, David Hasenauer.
Perfect. You nailed it. That's
yes. David, man, welcome to the show. First of all, very cool logo over your shoulder there. I'm jealous. I'm going to need one of those for Elevate Your Grind.
Yeah. No, it's the neon works. It sets the ambiance. It's nice when you walk into the office.
We have our new, this is the premiere of our new background here. We finally updated all the sponsors. You guys are actually over there on the thing here. Yeah, I know. I got to lose weight so we can see everyone's logo. So we're working on that, right? But David, I'm very glad that you're here today. I'm a big fan of your company. I have been for a while. You guys always had a really cool office. You've got a great team of people there. You know, Light is somebody that I was introduced to. Of course, all of you guys are Florida State grads, so that's near and dear to my heart. Do me a favor, just because I kind of want to, establish, I don't want to say establish your credibility, but give the folks a reason why I want to talk to you about this today. But tell us a little bit about Greenpoint and what you guys do here in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. So Greenpoint, last year, in the first year of the commercial program, we cultivated about 60% of all the hemp in the state of Florida. But we are vertically integrated biomass producers and processors, and we do it at a large scale. So much more like a Cargill and a traditional agricultural company than cookies or a traditional cannabis company. A different approach. I come from an agricultural background, but also know the power of cannabis. I was separated from the Army for an injury, and had to deal with Percocet and all this other crap that was just absolute poison, and knew there was a better way. And so that's kind of how I found my way into it, and actually worked on the Amendment 2 campaign, helped bring medical marijuana here to the state of Florida. And then while I was at FSU, we founded Greenpoint, and we knew that hemp was, on the horizon and coming from the first the 2014 Farm Bill, and then leading up to the 2018 Farm Bill. And we've been involved from the beginning through even the pre-commercial phase. We were partnered with Florida State University to do one of the pilot projects. So we've developed hemp genetics that are suited for Florida and tropical climates. We're also operational in Colombia as well as the Virgin Islands, and we do have the full set of licensure, both hemp and marijuana, down in Colombia. And we've been hard at it for several years now, and I've really started to integrate even further, and that's kind of where we're at with Gramco and the most recent acquisition for us in November of last year. We got a new 52,000 square foot manufacturing facility that has a 5,000 square foot commercial kitchen in it, and it came with some economic development incentives up in Jasper, Florida, and that's where I'm sitting today. And that's been kind of the impetus for us to make this integration from large agricultural producers and extractors into actually the consumer product space, and more so just this really unique market opportunity with Delta 8 and kind of leading the way into Cannabis 3.0 and what a true mass distribution of products looks like.
So that's a really interesting approach on the hemp market, and I kind of commend you guys. Like, obviously, I make the joke that I'm a fan because you guys are all Florida State alums, but when I look at the business model, right, when this hemp craze started coming around, like when cannabis started becoming a little bit more well known and CBD kind of hit the market, most companies did just that. They rushed to find hemp just to do CBD products right away, where you guys kind of took a different approach, and you're like, okay, well, this crop is going to be grown by all these farmers. What can we do with it? It's not just CBD. What else can we get out of it? How can we do it? How can we extract it? What are the other components of it? I mean, obviously, that's what I believe, and I'm sure you can fill in those gaps, led to Gramco, because you started looking at the other cannabinoids besides just CBD, besides just THC in it. And your approach, like you said, it was an agricultural approach by just saying, this is a plant. What can we make out of it? Everyone's making this. So yes, we can provide that to people, but what else can we do with it? And let's take that approach. I mean, to me, that seems like really more the driving force behind Greenpoint, and assuming why the company's named Greenpoint Research versus, the other companies that their end game was just CBD products and built a portfolio of CBD products.
Absolutely. And even with CBD, looking at other uses outside of just, the soft gels and gummies and tinctures and vapes, which, were the immediate, consumer goods that everyone came up with. But further product development and refinement, we will be, running a 4-arm triple blind actual clinical trial on a CBD soft gel with proprietary coatings and constituent parts that help with bioavailability, but then looking into even the industrial uses of CBD and how it applies in different applications outside of human consumption, and kind of these mostly edible products that you see proliferated. And yeah, it has a huge value chain. And then even outside of just CBD, when you start looking at, as the industry continues to scale, you're going to have huge waste streams of spent biomass and what you would call black that comes off the first phase of extraction that has lipids and fats and proteins and all kinds of stuff. Look at Beyond Burgers and all the plant-based proteins. There's a ton of leftover plant protein after the first phase of extracting CBD or any cannabinoids out of cannabis. And that is one thing we do. We say we take a cannabinoid agnostic approach. Cannabis is cannabis is cannabis. And we know we can produce an isolated kilogram of any cannabinoid cheaper than anybody because of the agricultural platform. And essentially that's the first phase of all consumer goods as we look to a fully mature market that'll be comprised by over 50% of all the products will be either isolates or custom oils and blended oils and edible products and drinks and beverages and the tinctures, vapes, and that kind of stuff. So looking at that feedstock and that agricultural supply chain, it definitely changed the way we approach it and the way we look at it, because once you get to scale, you have to do more than just there's only so many CBD gummies you can
Yeah.
produce. Like there has to be other uses for it if the crop's really going to flourish and turn into what everyone expects it to be.
See, now that's really interesting to me when you talk about leveraging the byproducts that come out from the processes of moving it from one stage along the supply chain to the other, because, you know, for someone like me, that's great on two ends of the spectrum, right? It's great from a business standpoint because there's another raw material that you can take and turn into something and either wholesale it to someone who's going to specialize in that, or if you have the ability, you can keep it in house and have another line of products. But then also from just a sustainability standpoint, from an environmental standpoint, you're using more of the plant and creating less waste, right? So, you know, for me, like you guys at Greenpoint and a lot of people in this industry are what I believe that companies and corporations should strive to achieve, where not only are you making a profit and a nice profit and figuring out how to make more of it, but every time that you do figure out another profitable stream, you're actually helping the environment and creating more sustainability because you're using more of the raw materials that you're taking from, you know, and you are planting those. So, you know, I look at your company and I see a lot of great points of what a company should strive to achieve. I commend you guys on doing that for sure.
Thank you very much. And that's becoming ever more necessary in modern business, especially with the tokenization of everything and NFTs and all the stuff that's happening with crypto. And you're seeing big agricultural players already start to apply it in some of their stuff. But at the core of anything, money is a medium of exchange, and it's supposed to uh, reward scarcity. Scarcity is what it creates value in an economy. And so the counterpoint to that is that a company that can operate with less scarcity and more efficiently should be providing more value, not only to consumers but to the entire ecosystem. And you're pretty soon the consumers will have a much more transparent choice about what people are doing and how they're operating, and whether their supply chain is clean, whether they're wasteful in their activities. And people aren't going to keep choosing the same groups that are filling the oceans with trash and leaving good crops out in the field just to because they didn't meet some standard. And there's a lot of energy and water and everything that's tied up into all that. And and when you can tokenize that, you have to use it, and you have to find a way to turn it back into something, or you're acting irresponsibly. You're not being a good steward, and ultimately those are the leaky points in your business over time that'll bleed you out once you get to scale. And the cannabis is great now because your margins are huge, but once it gets to like peanuts and you're trading on fractions of a penny, that kind of attitude won't fly. You have to draw every bit of value back out.
This to me feels like a poor man's version of the Joe Rogan and an Evan Hafner conversation I just listened to earlier today, man. You've got a lot of those same qualities, which is really cool. You have more qualities in Evan than I do in Joe. So, but I want to get to the topic of Delta 8 because I'm really curious about that. I have a lot of questions on it. But I know the medical marijuana industry in Florida here pretty intimately, and because of that, I tend to lack in knowledge in the hemp industry in our state, right? Our state is very agricultural. We take that for granted, especially where we live or where I live down here in South Florida because it is a city. But I mean, go from South Florida to any other part of Florida, you're going to pass through a shit ton of farms. If anyone's ever taken the drive across the state from Palm Beach County to Tampa and you don't go Alligator Alley, that's all you see is farms. There's really cool shit in the middle of the state too. Um, you know, with the conversation that we just had around sustainability and this being a very good crop for people to grow, there was an initial excitement with the opportunity in CBD. I believe there is an oversupply. How is Florida's hemp industry doing, and where do we rank amongst the rest of the country? Do we have a better industry? Do we have an opportunity of being a better industry? I know some people in Alabama that are working towards industrial hemp, which is I read from you that it's a very hefty investment. Is that something that we're working towards? Because I believe this is an opportunity for a state in the United States or multiple to become a leader and really come out of this powerful because they made a big investment in hemp. As much as I love the medical marijuana market, and I know it intimately, I understand the higher economic upside comes from what we call hemp, even though it's the same thing, but what's classified as that.
Absolutely. And so, Florida definitely has a lot of natural advantages from an agricultural standpoint compared to other states. We have year-round production capability. We have a high number of really good specialty crop growers. We have good agricultural infrastructure and suppliers in the state. So we're set up already from an infrastructure standpoint just because of the industry and that already exists here. Like you're saying, if you drive anywhere, you're going to see it. I mean, outside of tourism, it's the biggest industry in the state, biggest sector in the state, and so we're not as advanced as some other states from a total acreage or scale standpoint, and a lot of that just comes from the market dynamics and how things got started and the timing around the industry. Right after the Farm Bill, everyone was freaking out and selling $5,000 kilograms of CBD isolate, and you saw the reported USDA acreage jump from like 50,000 to 180,000. So we way overproduced market demand, but that doesn't mean the initial market demand wasn't real. And with the regular growth in CBD adoption, as well as now Delta 8 and other ancillary cannabinoids, we probably have a national demand for about 85 to 90,000 total acres of hemp. And we only grew about 30,000 the year after in 2020, and we only are growing about 50,000 nationally this year. So we've worked, we're finishing up working through the glut of biomass in 2019, which is, from the 2019 crop, which is something you see in any commodity industry. There's short and long components to it, and people overproduce and underproduce, and you have price fluctuation. But we are short biomass, and that's not a popular opinion in the hemp market. Everyone thinks we'll have biomass forever, but we don't. We're out of biomass in the next couple months, even with the harvests that are going to come in, especially with the increased demand of production because Delta 8 and Delta 8 products. So that's one. Florida's we didn't hit it off from a timing standpoint with Kentucky's and Colorado's of the world. But this next fluctuation where, we're going to be short biomass in winter and we're going to be the only ones that can grow is going to give us a huge leg up as we go to scale the industry in the state from a cannabinoid production standpoint, which is where we stand to be a tremendous leader, separate of the industrial products, because we already have great brands here. We got Green Roads, we got just CBD, there are already great brands here. So connecting the supply chain with fresh from Florida producers and suppliers with genetics that were developed in the state by in-state universities in partnership with us. It's we have a great supply chain here in the state now after a few years, and we'll be able to provide tremendous value to brands and other people that are looking to develop these consumer products out of hemp-derived cannabinoids. So that it's only going to grow, and Florida's done a great job of supporting that. The FDAC's policy statement on Delta 8 and clearly defining it as a hemp-derived cannabinoid, gives us another competitive advantage as a state where there's similar to how CBD products started got rolling. There was a lot of hesitancy in some states. Some states even made CBD illegal, and and everyone was freaking out what was going to happen. And now it's regulated and legal in all 50 states, and that's the arc we're on here. Especially Michigan actually just passed an amendment and was signed into law by their governor that amends their hemp regulatory authority to safely regulate Delta 8 products. And with the Commerce Clause protection in the Farm Bill, we're good. That's as far as I'm concerned. That's it. Delta 8's here to stay. It's a totally new market segment and one that has major long-term value. There's a lot of people that really like it because it's not as intense. Yet you still get similar effects to a Delta 9. Over 70% of the consumers that use Delta 8 products use it for, about 40% use it for anxiety, as their stated reason, and about 30% use it for sleep. So it's more than just a recreational thing. I think there are people that are using it therapeutically as an affordable option, and one that's not as psychotropic as Delta 9. And with that, I think that that market is there, and you've already seen other people try to adopt regular marijuana to that market out in the West Coast, where you have companies that have started like Dad Weed and these less psychotropic strains and brands. So for the people that don't want to do in $90 dabs and be out of their mind, there is a massive market for that, and mainstream market. And I think Delta 8 is really this kind of transition into cannabis 3.0, and might be the straw that breaks the back for federal legalization. What a simple thing. All we have to do is go change the definition of hemp to cannabis and eliminate the 0.3 standard. And all of a sudden we have fully regulated federal cannabis legalization in all 50 states and territories. So it might be the path of least resistance, which is why I tend to get frustrated when you see the marijuana producers in certain states pushing for regulations to can Delta 8. Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it. It's not new. It's not a novel cannabinoid. It exists naturally in the plant. Dr. Mahalam at Hebrew University is the basically the patron saint at cannabis medicine, was studying Delta 8 THC in pediatric cancer patients in 1995. So to say it's toxic or it's harmful or that it's any of these things is just misinformation. It's not true. And the same thing we needed with CBD products is we need safe regulation of them so people can know their source. And that's the benefit of getting some from someone like us, where it's fully vertically integrated, fresh from Florida. There's no sourcing this. It's not somebody that's just white labeling their Delta 8 brand to get quick distribution. We believe in it. This is a durable market and hyper transparency. And I think that's where it's headed. And I think it's going to be a meaningful part of the cannabis industry going forward.
So for a while, and like most people in this country, when I first heard about Delta 8 and everything else, I took a hard stance against it because, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't look into it. But to me, it was fake weed or people trying to get around regulations, right? And in my head, I have this want to protect the regulated marijuana industry because I feel as soon as anybody tries to step out of the regulations that were set, it's going to push us back, right? And the more and more that I thought about it, when Robin reached out and wanted to book you on the show to talk about it, I almost thought that this was going to end up being a debate. But the more and more thought that I put into it, I became really conflicted on my thoughts about it. And the point you just made about Delta 8 potentially being the model for federal legalization because it is a more palatable version of what we all want. I mean, that I think that is a great argument and discussion that can be looked at. So the more research that I've done into this, because I fully agree with you, I think the market is there. I 100% think the market for this product is there. And where my conflict comes from is, and I think there's two approaches that are being taken. It's the ban it and let's figure it out, or it's there. It seems to be going okay. If anything, and then we'll kind of go with it the way it is and then make sure that it goes well, right? So it's two different extreme approaches. I like kind of seeing how both go, I guess, but I'm more in your boat now where I like seeing it out there. Like this is like, hey, we're giving you the opportunity to sell a cannabis light product freely in a free market, regulated to a point under the hemp laws, but it's not like I've got to pay $500 a year to a friggin' doctor plus the state to be in the medical marijuana program alone, right? It costs a lot of money. I have to do it every 6-7 months. It's not convenient, right? So it's almost like you said, it's a proof of concept by putting O'Doul's into the market, if you will, because O'Doul's does have alcohol in it. It's a lower version. What is weird to me though is there's always people that are going to try to take advantage of it, and they're going to try to buy a lot of it and chase the actual cannabis. I don't know enough about it, but it to me it's very conflicting because I like everybody else want to see a more free cannabis market, right? And if you look at the state of Florida, what the Delta 8 market's doing, is two things. It's showing a true free market where you are putting cannabis products out there without the highly regulated and highly capitalized need for these expensive ass licensing, but also that's not vertically integrated too, right? And
Yeah.
it's proving that model. So, if we would have done this interview 3 weeks ago, before my kid was born, even this would have been a very different conversation. But I think people should, and I'm one of those people, should look at this with more open eyes, because like I said, that argument you make for being the framework for federal legalization, I like that a lot, because I've said on the show over and over again, federal legalization scares the shit out of me because nobody knows how to do it right at the state level yet. We see some people doing it decently, but it's constantly being changed. Nobody is following the state before them realistically from a medical marijuana standpoint. So if we can have a free market that can cross state lines and have e-com and every other part of it, and it is safe and it can be proven that it's safe and it can be regulated properly, that does make a much better case for federal legalization than 16 to 18 competing regulatory frameworks that everybody's going to fight for to put their part in. Because that's what
Absolutely.
politicians do. My state does the best because it's where I'm from, and that's what my people want to hear. So it's a great point that you make.
Thank you. It's and it is. Even for how consumers and retailers and other people interact with it. Uh, we're getting a great beta test even at how to service distributors and how to merchandise shops and how to properly display it, how to track sell through rates and all these things that are traditional, especially in like the beer industry or like beer distributors. It's adapting some of those best practices and looking at how we're not reinventing the wheel, which is what I think cannabis policy has done too much. We try to overcomplicate it. We have all the mechanisms between alcohol, tobacco, pharmaceuticals to regulate this plant and the different use cases of it. And yet we're constantly trying to invent new agencies and new things and new opportunities when we just need to match like for like. And that's what I do. I think like the hemp amending the farm bill to in the next 5 or 6 years when it comes back up, to just change it to cannabis is the easiest, and it's the path of least resistance. It's a small regulatory lift because everything's already in place from the FDA to the DEA to the USDA. It doesn't turn into this like balkanization of a million different sets of law like alcohol is. Alcohol, I mean, because of the way alcohol came off prohibition, it's still a shit show. Like I make a beer in North Florida, I have to go through 4 different companies to get it to a bar and 20 miles up the road in Georgia. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's a miserable way to do business. And we don't want that for cannabis. That if we end up with have to be vertically integrated here, but you have to be horizontal here, but you have to, and you have to go through all these different, it's going to be miserable. You'll never see the brand adoption growth or uniformity of products and consistency that you need out of a system like that.
No, like I said, you make great points, man. And going back to the Delta 8 and the market for it, I think Delta 8, I don't know if I said this before on the last rant, but it is what CBD promised to be, right? And especially with CBD, you had to try very hard, like you said, to find quality products like a Charlotte's Web, like a Green Point, right? And I'm sorry, Green Roads. You guys don't green. So, to find those quality products. And even then, like, it took a little while to feel the effects. A lot of people that I talked to, like, it's not like you took one CBD tincture and immediately felt better. Sometimes it's over a day, sometimes it's a week, sometimes with people it's 2 weeks before they start feeling. And it did kick in, right? Which is funny to me because, and this just happens to be topical because it was in the news. Like, to me, that's a vitamin. That's a dietary supplement that you're taking. And the FDA just ruled against that it can't be sold as a dietary supplement, where Delta 8, what I liked about it, even when I was against it, it is a lighter form of cannabis that gives you the true full spectrum effects that you would get from medical marijuana, right? And as somebody who has been a cannabis user for, I don't know, 14, 15 years now, regularly, it took me a very long time to get to the point where I could consume cannabis throughout the day and still do my normal tasks as as a professional, as a husband, as a friend, and everything else. You know, when I was getting it on the black market, for sure, I couldn't do that because I didn't know and I didn't care to know back then the terpene profile of what I was smoking, because it was whatever I could get from the kid's parents' house I went to, which is another story for another time, right? Now it took me a very long time of trying different cultivars from different retailers in this state alone to figure out, okay, this gives you the uplifting effects that you want, won't make you tired, and you can still do your things. And then all that anxiety and stress and everything else is going to stay away from you so you can do your job. I don't think a lot of people have the time, the ability, or even the patience to do what I did. You know, you truly have to be passionate about this plant and what it does for you to get to that point. Where the Delta 8 products come in, and I want to talk to you about the Gramco ones, is it gives people that ability to get that feeling without having to go through 10, 15 different cultivars of the terpene profile that they think works for them, right? And I think it's a great introduction into the medical marijuana industry should people need to take it that far, right? Maybe Delta 8 does what you need it to do and you can stop there. Maybe it pushes you further, right? Maybe actual cannabis becomes your, I don't want to say vice, but vice the same way alcohol is, but Delta 8 is more your medicine, right? So that's to me where I see a great divide, and that's where it's starting to win me over for sure. Like I told you, I agree with you. The market is 1000% there, and it's probably the most underserved market because you have CBD and then you have medical marijuana, which, you know, in most states is a restricted adult use. We just can't say that because we've got to pretend that it's only medicine and it's
Yeah.
clinical and everything else.
Well, that's a, and you know, I think even your shopping experience here in the state lends the idea that it's not medical, because if it was medical, you wouldn't have diversity in strain and profile. I mean, people would be putting out a consistent shelf of genetically uniform uh, cannabis, so that you had reproducible effects for what you wanted, rather than having to go from strain to strain. I think you know, that's, and inherently it says recreation in disguise. You know, like
Yeah.
but it's neither here nor there. It's still, I still think it's great progress, uh, and the movement in the right direction, and has led to great research and design of products that are more therapeutic for sure. So I don't want to complain about it, but the Delta 8 experience is great. There are a lot of people that have, you know, paranoia issues with Delta 9, and it gets too intense for them. They don't want that much of a, you know, a head high, and you know, that kind of reaction. So that, you know, tempered effect, but still with the anti-anxiety, and really I think a lot of people with the appetite. I think appetite and anxiety are so, you know, strongly linked. That's why they call it your gut. You know, you get a feeling in your gut, and you know, I've you know, I've shipped it to cancer patients, and you know, we have water soluble packs. You know, and I know a friend of mine that has cancer up in South Carolina. He doesn't have a medical marijuana program, and he doesn't want to smoke, but the fact that he can put you know, a couple of water soluble, you know, 10 milligrams of Delta 8 in his mango juice, and do it, and then can actually, you know, have breakfast and eat after chemo and stuff. There really is, you know, validity, and you know, there's these you know, proof of concept events that we've had and talked to people about. So you know, and that's a big deal. It's like it's like light beer versus hard liquor, you know, or something like that. You know, which is, it's weird because we keep jumping back and forth between medical and then like these recreational terms. But that's, I guess I have a fundamental problem with that too. To digress, like, who says recreation isn't therapeutic? And you know, like, the stress
Yeah.
is the single largest killer in our society today, I believe. And any relief from anxiety or stress is not is medical as far as I'm concerned. But that's without getting shanghaied by the FDA. I don't want to make any medical statements, but you know,
I mean,
recreation can be therapy.
I think that's the biggest problem with cannabis. Why people think that the people that are passionate about it are so crazy, and why it's so hard to regulate is because it's so hard to define. Right? There's so many use cases for. If you tell someone, "Hey, I found this plant that grows, you know, in 60 to 90 days, and it has all these amazing use cases out of it. It's medicinal. It's therapeutic. It's, you know, it helps you relax. It helps you disconnect. You can use it as a vice. You could use it as building materials. You can use it as paper. It's stronger than steel. It's this, it's that." You'd be like, this motherfucker is crazy. What is he talking about? Right. But it's true. There are so many things that you can do with this plant. And even just the basic use of consuming it by smoking it or by eating it, the use cases and the amount of things that it treats are vast, right? At least unofficially, if you will. So people think we're crazy when we talk about it, but it's because we can't actually put the research behind it to say, no, we're not fucking crazy. We're right. Here is the scientific evidence to back it up. We have bits and pieces of it. People are still citing bullshit studies from the 1930s and 40s that were propaganda against, for the prohibition of this plant. So it's like, you want to trust a study from 1938, but not 2015 or 18 or 2020. Like, so to me, will Delta 8 also give us the ability to provide some of that research that we need to show people that we're not freaking crazy in this industry?
Yeah, and I think we're getting there as an industry as a whole. The amount of research that's come in to therapies from cannabis over the last 10 years has been tremendous. The biggest limiting factor there is the acceptance of materials from the FDA and the fact that we only could go through Ole Miss and get the crappy weed. And
Yeah.
like, so the fact that the research has been there just hasn't been in a manner that the FDA will sign off on because of stupid red tape. It's not like we're lacking the evidence or even the high quality clinical trials. That's what I'm saying. Like, the Delta 8 trial I mentioned was human clinicals on 480 children in Israel in 1995. It's that's a significant study. It's a FDA clinical trial grade study. That's just part of it. It just needs to be communicated. Just we have studied it a lot. I think there's it might be we're verging on the point that it might be the most studied medicine in the world. Like as far as more than Tylenol or any of these things. Because of how much of a kind of scarlet letter has been associated with it, but it's just that huge detached from reality. You hear all these things and then you see it in people's lives and you're like, well, this is clearly not what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
this is not the devil's lettuce. This isn't reefer madness. This isn't no, these people aren't crazed maniacs. Like like, let's get back to the baseline and distributing that. And I think a lot of that's about to go by the wayside too, because they did just issue those new research licenses through the DEA. So you'll see the production of higher quality cannabis and more diverse cannabinoid and terpene profiles and entering into these trial systems and getting the approvals from the U.S. government that are needed to justify it to some people. And that's why it's a consumer confidence thing, and we'll get there.
Very cool, man. Well, talk to me about the brand Gramco. Obviously you copied my wardrobe today. It's, a little
Yeah.
embarrassing here. I think we're wearing the same size shirt as well too. So, um, um, I told Robin before you came on, I said, I'm happy to be talking to you guys because, the approach that you took on the hemp industry and from a true research standpoint, you have partnerships with universities as well, too, that there is a scientific component to this, right? So, you weren't just a hustler or business just trying to jump on a trend and put it out there. You guys have studied these cannabinoids. Talk to me about the products you're putting out there, because I look at it and I mean, to me, it looks like cannabis. You've got flower, you've got pre-rolls, you guys saw some vapes, and even the strains. I mean, the cultivars are the same. You've got, Skittles and other ones. I don't know if I saw runts or something like that. Give me tell me about the products, what you guys are doing, what's going into them.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all for any of the flower products, we start with our Fountain of Youth certified CBG flower. We use CBG instead of CBD for all the smokable products because the nose flavor and look of it. And then it is treated with Delta, an aerosol Delta 8 to be applied to the product, and then we manufacture the different pre-rolls, or just in the containers of flour that go into market. But we really see that as the smallest part of it. People like it, and it's a SKU, but really what we didn't talk about is the edibles, and that's what we're getting ready to really launch heavy into edibles, because I think there is less of a recreational bend to it than we think. And most people don't want to smoke it, even the vapes and this stuff. I think it's the high demand, for, like I said, sleep and anxiety, bedtime. And so right behind me on the other side of this wall is actually a 5,000 square foot commercial kitchen. And we're demoing several different gummy recipes with all fresh from Florida produce, all plant-based, vegan products that we can put out. And we're going to be launching several edible lines over the next couple months, and we're really excited about that. And that's the next iteration of it, and that's kind of some of the market feedback we've gotten. We've only we launched the brand on 420. So again, crossing over some of the recreation stuff, but in this first about 100 days post launch, and the consumer data and what we're getting back, and is more that it is we want something that's easy to consume. We want it to taste good and be healthy, that they are health conscious consumers. It's not lazy stoners. It's 50 and 60-year-old women and doing it to get rest at night, and it's not just young kids. So it's kind of been an interesting exercise for us as we've launched and gotten out there. We're picking up distribution, have 20 stores, 20 plus stores that are carrying Gramco products throughout the state of Florida, as well as a few in the Northeast US. And we're really excited about the market intelligence we're getting back, and the feedback we're getting back, that it is more than just the smokable flower, because I think that gives us a tremendous leeway and creativity for product development, looking at beverages and other things on the horizon as well, after just the first phase of edibles that are coming out. It's and getting into traditional distribution. Like I said, it's that's what we're most excited. It really is a trial run for a federal legalization. Like, why are we going to go build a bunch of dispensaries to do one thing? That's not how a consumer is going to work. They're going to want to go to one store to get their bottle of wine, some nice hors d'oeuvres, snacks. Shoppers aren't going to go to a specialty cannabis store for the most part, long term. And so learning how to integrate cannabis into traditional distribution models is one of the most exciting things about it. And but the products are great. We have great sell through. People have reacted well to them, and we're excited to keep being innovative and developing new products and uses.
So would your goal be to get these products into either Publix or Walgreens in the state of Florida? CVS?
I would love that. I think the Publix might be a tall lift, given their campaign contribution history, and not that I don't want to say, I'm a Floridian, so I don't want to say anything bad about Publix. I know that's like a sacrilege here in the state. Yeah, like,
best subs around.
Yeah, everyone loves Publix. I'm not saying anything bad about Publix. I'm just saying cannabis friendly they are not. And but yeah, we'd love to be in Walgreens. We'd love to be at every gas station. We think and the more you see the policy change, the more receptive we're starting to see distributors and traditional retailers to it. Again, like I said, the Michigan law getting signed in as part of their hemp bill, having clear framework for Delta 8 regulation, it goes a long way in building buyer confidence that they're not getting into something illegal, and it's been great.
From an e-com standpoint, are you able to sell to almost any state? Like, I know Nevada just made it illegal, obviously, not good timing for the champ show, but are you able to sell to most states, just the ones that forbid it you can't?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a no sell or function on our e-com platform, where we won't execute transactions to certain states that have passed the bans or rushed the bans through. I think there's like 12 of them now total. So we avoid those, but then the other good thing is it helps us with targeting in other states. So we have a great relationship with bud.com, and they have a hemp shop component. And so the other thing is it's, sans those 12 states where the, Gramco products are the landing page for the bud.com hemp shop in all the other states. So, and again, it helps,
Huh. We lost signal.
we do have to avoid them.
He's back. Sorry, we lost you for a second. You're back.
Sorry.
You're good. It's the middle of the state internet connection, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say middle of the state. We're basically in Georgia up here. This is very rural. It's a unique city in Jasper, Florida. I love it though. You got the Spirit of Swanee Music Park and some cool stuff
Jasper,
up here.
It's up in the Panhandle.
It's like dead center. It's right off 75 north of I-10. Yeah, it's like the second exit in from Georgia when you're heading south on 75.
Got it. Yeah. All right. No, I never went north of I-10 on 75. I always just hit that I-10 west straight to Tallahassee.
Yeah, it's interesting. So this is actually the last high-life fronton built in America that we took over. So we're still we bought it in November and we're building it out in phases, but we got 30,000 square feet in the back with huge 40-foot clear height. Then it still has a full fronton court in it with like stadium lighting and the scoreboard and everything.
That's really cool. Do you guys have the basket and do you guys?
Oh yeah, the Punta Cestas. We'll get back there and sling it every once in a while.
That is awesome, man. I mean, you guys always have the greatest facilities. Even your Fort Lauderdale office was incredible.
Yeah, we loved it. It's we miss it, but the 6-hour commute up here, it was kicking my ass. So I had to call the audible, but.
I'm sure, man. Well, listen, dude, the products are really exciting. You talked about the future and some of the things you're going to get into. I mean, is a goal of yours from a Delta 8 standpoint for Gramco, like a prepackaged drink? Because I can see those being widely accepted. I'm a huge fan of cannabis beverages. Cannabis beverages, for the most part, are microdosed at this point. And I think the biggest hindrance to them is where they're sold. They're sold where you have flower consumers. They're sold where you have concentrate users, like you said. These are the dabbers. These are the people that are smoking a good amount of cannabis the traditional way. And to get them to switch over to another form factor is not always the easiest, right? So you take a product that is the Gramco whatever, hard seltzer, if you will, or juice. Juice sounds good. We got a lot of juice here.
I like cafe. So I like. I'm a big fan of coffee and cannabis together. And so,
dude, there you go.
So a little double shot of Gramco Cafe, with 20 milligrams of Delta 8 in it to start your day, I think is a great product and something we're definitely looking at. I think looking at installing canning in the full 9 as we scale here.
I'll be happy to be part of the R&D team for that one for free.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a cool thing because we actually got a pretty cool connection in that our boots on the ground, the VP of operations for our Colombian side of business used to be the chief commercial officer for the Colombian Coffee Federation. So we get the best coffee for sure. So I know like once we get it going, it's going to be a great beverage.
I will happily volunteer for the R&D for that one. That's where I was going to lead you with the beverages. I was going to say, how long, how can we get a cannabis and coffee? I mean, I would love personally, to me, that once this whole CBD and everything outside of the traditional cannabis use to me came out, I'm like, I would love a coffee that gave me a little bit of the effects in the morning to start my day. I mean, that is the ultimate product for me. So I'm very excited for that to come out.
Nice. It's funny, you say make a product for yourself, and I was like, I can't be the only one that feels this way about these two things. There's got to be a bunch of people out here that feel this way.
It's funny, like you see like some of these dumb things on the internet, like they have a coffee cup that has a bowl attached to it that you pack, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm like, but then you just got to smell the burnt weed as you finish your coffee for the rest of the day. Like,
yeah,
you're not going to clean
like
it
resin
out before you finish the mug.
No, exactly. It's almost there, but not quite. They had the right idea, a wrong execution.
Yeah. So awesome, man. Well, dude, David, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. We will definitely do this again. I'm excited to continue to see what you all do, the products that come out. Before we let you go, let's plug where they can get the products, Gramco, Greenpoint, anything else you want to get out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thegramco.com is our website. All the products are available, direct ship to your house. I encourage everyone to try them out and give it a chance. They're clean, they're fresh from Florida. We grow everything. Know your source. It's a good, clean product and an enjoyable experience. And I encourage everyone to check it out.
Very cool. Well, thank you, David, and we'll definitely have you back soon.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody at home for watching. Of course, it's been another episode of Elevate Your Grind. We are done for the week. We'll be back next week. I want to say Tuesday at 2, but I'll put that out there on the old interwebs when I know for sure. Yes, I know I need to get better at that, folks. Of course, if you missed any part of this episode, you can catch it next week on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/elevateyourgrind or anywhere that you find your audio podcasts, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Stitcher. You're not going past Apple or Spotify, so I don't need to name all those. Folks, we're done for the week. Like I said, I want to give another shout out to the folks at Spring Big. Thank you again for an amazing time. It was a pleasure. You guys will always have a special place in my heart, but it's time to move on to bigger and better things. I'll let you all know next week. Have a good weekend.